A very good morning, respected Father Principal, Sister Headmistress, teachers, and all my dear friends. Myself, Aman Miraj from class 7C, and I am glad to welcome you all here in physics presentation prepared by Junior Norbertines. We are just habitual to read, write, and learn, but by this presentation, we are going to explore the things. So now, I would like to call our photon group to begin our presentation.
Can you imagine why this boy is jumping?
And see why this girl is sleeping.
Yes, because the boy is having more energy than this girl.
So now we can say one can do more work with more energy.
And hence, energy can be defined as the ability to do work.
There are various kinds of energy such as
Solar energy, mechanical energy,
light energy,
muscular energy,
light energy,
heat energy,
sound energy,
electrical energy,
nuclear energy.
and many more.
The ultimate source of energy is sun.
The energy that we get from sun is called solar energy.
But we can't use it directly.
The energy can neither be created nor be destroyed.
But it can be converted from one form to another.
Now, we'll explore the transformation of energy.
Electrical energy into heat energy,
Electrical energy into sound energy,
electrical energy into mechanical energy,
electrical energy into light energy.
solar energy into electrical energy.
Now, can you guess which form of energy is most used in our day-to-day life?
So, the electrical energy is the widely used form of energy in our day-to-day life.
Without electricity, our life is impossible.
Now, we would like to call our next group, Boson, to tell you more about electricity.
As we have already discussed about the term energy, and now we will move towards its conversion. Energy conversion is one of the widely used form of energy. Electrical energy is one of the widely used form of energy. We all are familiar with the term electricity as it has become an essential part of our daily life. Every living or non-living thing possesses energy, directly or indirectly. In the same manner, every element has some atoms and every atoms has some subatomic particles, namely electron, proton or neutron. Metals have some free electrons which are allowed to move freely within the cell. These movements of electrons is the secret behind the generation of electricity. Now we will discuss something more about the subatomic particles of an atom.
So now, here are protons. So when we say protons, the first question that arises in our mind is what is protons, right? Protons are the subatomic particles present in the nucleus of an atom. They have a positive charge and the mass of one atomic mass unit is 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilograms. The symbol of proton is P+. Now let's know something about the history of protons, like who discovered it, when was it discovered and so on. Protons were discovered by Ernest Rutherford in 1909. He named his discovery protons based on the Greek word protos, which means first. In 1920, Ernest Rutherford predicted but not proved that there is one more subatomic particle present in the nucleus of an atom. But in 1932, James Chadwick proved that there is one more subatomic particle present in the nucleus of an atom. It has no charge but have the same mass number as proton. It is electrically neutral particle.
An electron is a negatively charged subatomic particle. It can either be free or bound to the nucleus of an atom. Electron is considered as the largest stable subatomic particle. Electron consists of a negative charge of 1.6 into 10 to the power 19 coulomb, which is considered as the basic unit of electric charge. Electrons consist of mass of 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg which is only 1 by 1836 mass to the proton. Electron was discovered in 1896 by a British physicist J.J. Thomson by using a cathode ray doing an experiment called discharge of tubes. Electrons move from negative charge parts to positive charge ones. That's why the negative charge of some circuits have extra electrons, while this positive charge circuits bonds more electrons. The electrons then jump from one area to another. When electrons move, the current flows through the system.
This was all about electrons and its subatomic particles. Now we are going to know about why does electrons flow from this wire but not from this rope. To know this, we must know about what is conductor and insulator.
It means transfer of something. Materials that transfer something through themselves are called conductors. That something would be heat or electricity. In this context, we use the word electrical conductors. Electrical conductors are the materials that transfer that electric conductors. Insulators are the substances that does not allow electric current to pass through it. Examples: wood, floor, plastic, etc.
Now the question is, why does electrons or electric current doesn't flow from insulators? The reason is, in insulators, electrons are bound tightly and there are no free electrons to do the movement. And in biconductor, the electrons are free to do the movement.
So you have seen how the current flows, but still our question is remaining that why the current flows in conductors? It is due to the potential difference. So what is potential difference? Okay, I am going to tell you about the potential difference. A conductor having an excess of electrons is said to be at low potential, whereas a conductor having deficiency of electrons is said to be at higher potential. As we all know that in liquids, electric current flows from a higher potential to a low potential, whereas electrons flow from the excess of electrons to the deficiency of electrons. Or in other words, we can say that the direction opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. Now you have learned that what is the potential difference. So the sources of electricity are used to produce the potential difference. Now our next group chart is coming to tell you about the sources.
Before starting, I want to ask a question. What is the portable source of electricity? No one. So the answer is a cell. Primary cells are cells that are used once and discarded and cannot be recharged with electricity and reused. An electrochemical cell is a common example of a primary cell. Every cell has a positive terminal and negative terminal. When these two terminals are connected by a metallic wire, an electric charge begins to flow through the wire, constituting the electric current. The flow of electric charge through a metal is nothing but the flow of electrons. Electrons flow from the negative terminal into the wire and then enter the positive terminal. These cells provide current as a result of a reversible chemical reaction. Chemical energy in them has been converted into electrical energy. Depending on the material of electrode and electrolyte, we have different kinds of primary cells. For example, Daniell cell, Leclanché cell, dry cell, etc. A primary cell consists of a zinc container whose base acts as the negative electrode. The carbon rod placed at the center with a brass cap acts as the positive electrode. It is surrounded by a mixture of carbon and manganese dioxide in a muslin bag. The electrolyte is a moist paste of ammonium chloride and plaster of Paris. The outer body, except the base of the zinc container, is insulated
is the condition before its discharge, means when the battery was fully charged and working efficiently. After taking electrolytes and electrodes in a vessel, the cell is first charged by connecting it through a current source. The chemical reaction in a battery involves the flow of electrons from one material to another through an external closed circuit. The flow of electrons provide an electric current that can be used to do work. These cells can be used for a very long period of time because these cells can be recharged and used again and again as it has a reversible chemical reaction. These cells are heavy and costly. Lead accumulators and nickel ferrous accumulators are two types of secondary cells used for providing low as well as high current.
Now our next group, Miss Son is going to tell you that how we get electricity in our houses.
So now we have to learn about current electricity. Current or dynamic electricity is defined as an electrical charge in motion. The electrical charge flows from the negatively charged electrons from atom to atom through a conductor in an electrical circuit. The external force that comes to the electrical circuit is called electromotive force or voltage. Examples of current electricity are starting the car, using the cell phone, playing video games, etc. Types of current electricity are direct current. In this current, electron move in one direction. Second, alternating current. In this current, electron move in both directions. So now we have to learn about sources of current electricity. Sources of current electricity are sun, wind, and hydro. So now we have to learn about how electricity is produced.
Now our neutrino group is presenting the components used to help us in using different appliances. So today I am going to tell you that what is cell and what is battery. Before starting, I would like to ask one question, that who discovered cell and when? Yes, the Robert Hood discovered cell in 1665. Now if we talk about cell, then many questions arise in our mind, that what is cell, what are its functions. Then I would like to tell that cell is a single electrical energy source which uses a chemical reaction to produce a current. It is an electric power supply. Cell provides 6 main functions. They are structure and support, facilities and growth, allow active and passive transportation, create metabolic reactions, aid in reproduction, etc. The symbol of the cell is this and the real structure of cell is this. It has two terminals, one positive terminal and one negative terminal. And in real structure also, it has two terminals, one positive and one negative terminal. Now move towards battery. So, do anyone know that who discovered battery and when? Volta invented the battery in 16th century. Now, what is battery and what are its functions? Battery is a device that stores chemical energy and converts it to electrical energy. The chemical reaction in the battery involves the flow of electrons through which current produces. The symbol of the battery is this. It has two terminals, one positive and one negative terminal. And the real structure of battery is this. It has two terminals, one positive and one negative. Now, do you have ever imagined that how the bulb glows when it is connected to a wire? So here is Rashi to tell something about connecting wires and bulb.
So, before starting, I would like to ask you that what we use to provide light at night? Yes, we use an electric bulb or a tube light. So now we are going to discuss an electric bulb. An electric bulb refers to an electric lamp which consists of a transparent or translucent glass housing. It is a simple device which converts electrical energy into light energy. Nowadays we use different types of bulbs such as LED bulb and CFL bulbs. We use these bulbs because they consume less energy. LED bulb means light emitting diode bulb and CFL bulb means chloropluorine Thomas Alva Edison invented the first bulb. Now can you tell when he invented the first bulb? No, it was invented in 1879, but the bulb got the right to be used on January 27, 1880. Now the question is how the energy from the source reaches the bulb. It needs a medium to travel. So now we are going to discuss about that medium. That medium is the connecting wire. A connecting wire allows an electric current to flow from one point to another on a circuit. It establishes conductivity between any 2 points on a circuit. The symbol for a connecting wire is this. Can anyone tell who invented the first connecting wire? The first connecting wire was invented by L.B. Smith in 1867. Now, did the electric current always flows in an electric circuit? No, it flows only when the switch is on. So here is Pratyasha to tell you about the switch.
You have many times seen a switch connected to a circuit or other appliances. Have you ever think that why this switch is important? What is the use of a switch? If switch is not there, then there will be a lot of problem to disconnect or connect the electricity again and again. So switch is an arrangement to on or off a circuit. Before starting, I want to ask you who invented the first switch and in which year? First switch was invented by John Henry Holmes in 1884. An open switch is a type of an electrical switch. An open switch is one without continuity, means current cannot flow through it. A switch in open position disconnects the light bulb from the battery, creating an open circuit. This is a symbol for an open switch. A closed switch is one that provides a direct path for current to flow. In a closed switch, current can flow through it. This is a symbol for closed switch. This is an original switch. Now Yashi is going to tell us about open plug key and closed plug key.
Before starting, I would like to ask question that who discovered first plug key? No answer. The first plug key was discovered by Harvey Hummel. This is the symbol of closed plug key and this is the symbol of open plug key. Key open means electric circuit is incomplete and electric current is not flowing through circuit. Key closed means electric circuit is gets complete and electric current starts flowing through it. As we know, sometimes the flow of electric current and voltage is very high. So here is Ayushi to tell you about resistor and capacitor.
A capacitor is a device that stores electrical energy in an electrical field. It is denoted in farads. Do you know what is the other name of capacitor? It is condenser. Capacitor was discovered by Prussian scientist Johann Georg von Kleist and Dutch physicist Peter van Musschenbroek in 1745. This is the symbol of capacitor. Next is resistor. A resistor is a passive electronical component that is used to limit the flow of electric current. It is denoted in ohms. Do you know who discovered the first resistor and when? First resistor was discovered by Otis Frank Boykin in 1959. Now voltages are measured by an instrument called voltmeter. So here is Anushka to tell about voltmeter and ammeter.
So first, I would like to tell you about voltmeter. It is used to measure potential difference across 2 points in a circuit. It is always connected in parallel in a circuit. It has a positive terminal through which the current enters and a negative terminal through which the current leaves. It has a very high resistance. Now, ammeter. It is an instrument used to measure current in a circuit. It is always connected in series in a circuit. It has a positive terminal through which the current enters and a negative terminal through which the current leaves. It has a very small resistance
constant. This is the symbol of voltmeter and this is the symbol of ammeter. This is the real model of voltmeter and this is the real model of ammeter. At last, I would like to ask you a question. So, do you know who invented voltmeter and ammeter in which year? No one. So the answer is Hans Oersted invented voltmeter in 1814 and Friedrich Drexler invented ammeter in 1884.
Still you have seen the components of a circuit. Now what is a circuit? Firstly you tell what is a circuit. Okay, anyone not? Then an electric circuit can be defined as a closed path in which electric current flows.
It was invented by Alessandro Volta in 1800. The components are shown by symbols. Now what is a closed circuit?
A circuit is said to be closed circuit or complete when the electric current flows through it. This combination is possible when the switch is on. Now what is an open circuit?
You will say that it is just opposite of the closed circuit. Yes, it is right. It is just opposite of the closed circuit. It means that open circuit is a circuit in which there is no flow of electric current and this condition is obtained when switch is off.
Open circuit was invented by E.S. Lee Pryor and closed circuit was invented by Mary Van Britten Brown.
Here we made a model to describe closed circuit and open circuit.
Now the switch is off, so it is an open circuit.
Please on the switch. Now the switch is on, so it is a closed circuit.
There are mainly two types of circuit, series circuit and parallel circuit.
What is an electric circuit? An electric circuit is a conducting path in which electric current can flow.
There are two types of electric circuits, series circuits and parallel circuits. Let's learn about these types of circuits.
Series circuit. Series circuit are the basic types of electrical circuit in which all the components are connected in a chain, so the same current through all of them.
Parallel circuits. Parallel circuits are the types of circuits in which same voltage occur in all components with the current dividing among the component based on their resistance or impedance.
Let's see who invented the electric circuit. The first electric circuit was invented by Alessandro Volta.
Some advantages of parallel circuits.
Series circuit. Series circuit do not overheat easily. Series circuit are easy to learn and make. Component stops if a current stops if a component breaks.
Parallel circuits. They ensure all the components in the circuit have the same source as the voltage. If one of the bulb is burned, the other bulb continue to shine. In parallel circuits, more branches may be added at any time.
Let's talk about the functions of series circuit. In series circuit, every device must function for the circuit to be complete. If one bulb burns out, the entire circuit is broken. Let's do it practically. Here is 3 bulbs in series, so this is a series circuit. This is the battery which giving them energy to these 3 bulbs. If we cut the wire, so the bulb is fused. So the bulb is fused. So this is the series circuit.
Now parallel circuits. This is a battery and switch which give source to these relays. When we cut the wire only one bulb fuse and other will shine. This is a parallel circuit.
Fuse is a safety component which was discovered by William Bickford in 1831. When there is a fuse provide protection against power overloads. When there is an overflow of current in fuse, the fuse wire melts and thus breaks the circuit. Fuse is directly connected to the live wire.
What do you think? What's MCD? It's an electronic safety device which stops and protects when current overflow. But how it's different from fuse? It's different because the wire of fuse melts and it needs to be replaced. But the wire of MCD does not. It can be used again. This device was patented by Brown, Rees and C in 1924. Some advantages of MCD are: it is very simple to resume and supply. It works quickly against short circuit. It has work quick on overloading. It is reusable.
I think we all are now familiar with the word electricity. Each and every one of us depends on electricity to smoothly move through our day. Our phones, laptops and countless other appliances work by electricity. But have you ever thought that how this electricity is produced? How is it generated? When we press an on button, our appliances start working. But the electricity is working hard behind the process. So now let's explore the journey of how electricity is produced. Basically, electricity is produced by power plant. Now some of you might be thinking about dam because there are many news regarding dams and electricity. Yes, it is a source of electricity. But is it the only source of electricity? Not really. The most common electricity generating units are hydroelectric power plant, wind power plant, solar power plant, geothermal power plant, coal, gas and oil power plant. Coal, gas and oils are known as non-renewable resources because they are in limited supply and also they cause a lot of pollution to the environment. Do you know that coal, gas and oils are collectively known as fossil fuels? That means they are formed from the fossilized of death and decaying plants and animals that lived millions of years ago. Did you know that about 80% of the world electricity is generated by these fossil fuels, even though they causes a lot of pollution in the environment because they are non-renewable resources? Why do we use these fossil fuels more than hydro, nuclear for generating electricity? Because these fossil fuels generate electricity which is reliable over a longer period of time and are generally cheap to build. These fossil fuels are also known as coal, gas and oil are also known as fossil fuels because they generate electricity which is reliable over a longer period of time. So here one dam is present through which you can understand how electricity is produced by hydroelectric power plant. So as the water that is present inside the dam is released, the water strikes the turbine through which the turbine starts moving. As the turbine starts moving, the armature coil that is present inside the generator starts rotating, through which an electric current is generated by which an electricity is generated. So this is how an hydroelectric power plant works.
So I hope you understand how an hydroelectric power plant works. Oh, I forgot to tell one more thing. That the turbine that you are seeing here, it's too small. But actually the turbine is a big machinery. And if you will try to move that turbine with your finger, it will not move. Or even if you will try to put the water from your water bottle, the turbine will not move because it's a big machinery. And for this, it required a high velocity of a kinetic energy. So now my friend Vanshika will tell you about nuclear power plants.
As Sada has said about hydroelectricity, does hydroelectricity is the only source of electricity? No, hydroelectricity is not only source of electricity. There are more sources of electricity. I am going to talk about one of these sources of electricity, that is nuclear energy. What is nuclear energy? What is nuclear power plant? Nuclear power plant is a type of steam thermal power plant station that conduct electricity by using heat energy from the nuclear reaction. This nuclear reaction took place in the nuclear reactor. Nuclear power plant is a type of thermal power station which generates electricity using heat from the nuclear reaction. This nuclear reaction took place in nuclear reactor. About 11% of world total electricity is produced by nuclear power plant. Who are the largest producer of nuclear energy in the world? US and France are the largest producer of nuclear energy in the world. The main components of nuclear power plants are steam generator, nuclear reactor, turbine, generator and cooling tower. Let's firstly talk about nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactor is the key component of nuclear power plant. It is also called the heart of nuclear power plant. It contains uranium filled in rods packed in bundle, filled in reactor. The reactor split uranium into pieces which contain lot of heat energy. That heat energy carried by water for further. Now the work goes to steam generator. The water containing heat brings to the steam generator to normal water. The normal water contains the heat from the hot water. The normal water begins to boil. The normal water boils and changes into the steam. The steam goes to the turbine. Now the work goes to the turbine. As the water goes to the turbine, it converted in the mechanical energy into the electrical energy. As the turbine rotates, a rod is attached to the turbine, it also rotates. The mechanical energy goes to the generator. We know the work of generator is to convert mechanical energy into the electrical energy. He do its work and he converted mechanical energy to electrical energy by the rotating rod. The mechanical energy is now converted to the electrical energy and it goes to the poles and comes to your homes. Now my friend Shakal will tell you about another type of nuclear power plant.
So another type of power plant is solar power plant. Solar power plant works with the light and heat energy of sun's rays and produce the electricity to our home by the process named photovoltaics. The term photovoltaics means the direct conversion of heat and light energy into electricity at atomic level. As you can see in the solar power plant's chart, there are some components and some parts of the solar plant. So first is solar panel. Solar panel is designed to absorb the electricity as a source of electricity in our houses. Second is evaporator boiler. This is a boiler that functions water into saturated in steam. The third is condenser and the third is turbine. The term turbine you have heard in all the power plants displayed here, but in solar turbine the steam is generated by transmission fluid, and after that it is heated by capturing sunlight with a number of mirrors. And the last is condenser. Condenser is a part of solar power plant that transfer into cooling tower. Now my friend Faria will tell you something about another type of power plant.
Another type of power plant is thermal power plant. What does the term thermal mean? Thermal means heat. In a thermal power plant, heat energy is converted into electricity. Now, how is this heat energy produced? You all must be thinking about some main sources of heat, such as sun, biomass, or maybe fossil fuels. But actually, no. In a thermal power plant, heat is produced by what? Water is a working fluid that works in a thermal power plant, which is heated in large quantity to produce a large amount of steam. This steam produced works as the heat energy in a thermal power plant. Now let us understand how this thermal power plant works. How is the electricity produced through it? In a thermal power plant, primary fuels such as fuel, coals are stored in big stacks. These coals are used to heat the water up in the boiler. After the water is heated, a large amount of steam is produced. After the steam, it rotates or turns a special type of turbine, which is also known as steam turbine. After the turbine starts rotating, it converts the heat energy of the steam into mechanical energy. During this process, the excess water from the turbine is given to the condenser, which cools down the water and transfers it to the cooling tower. The main purpose of the cooling tower is to reduce pollution in the environment. During this process, the turbine has totally converted the heat energy into mechanical energy. Now, this mechanical energy is converted into electricity by the electric generator. So now, you all want to know how thermal power plant works. Now let us see how electricity is given to our houses.
So now we are going to understand how electricity reaches our home. So the first step in which electricity generates is power plant. So first we have to understand what is power plant. Power plant is a heat plant located mostly near energy producing sources such as hydroelectric dams, wind or solar farms, and natural gas plants. Power plant use fuel as source of energy from wind, coal, sun, etc. The energy is then converted into electricity using various equipments. This electricity is then converted into high voltage and transferred to switchyard, which is our next step we are going to understand. Switchyard is a very important part of electric transmission, usually located near power plant. The main purpose of switchyard is to increase the voltage of electricity. After this process, the electricity goes to transmission lines. So now we are going to understand how transmission lines works. Transmission lines helps the electricity move from power plant to distribution network. It makes easier the process of electricity to end users. These lines are insulated to keep them safe from giving electric shock in case they come in contact with human. The voltage is still very high, so it needs to be reduced before going to end users. After traveling from transmission line, the electricity enters terminal station. So now we are going to understand what is terminal station. In terminal station, the voltage of electricity is reduced to a safe and standard level. After the voltage is reduced to a safe and standard level, it goes to distribution lines. So now we are going to understand what is distribution lines. Distribution lines are similarly like transmission lines, but the size and the purpose of distribution lines is different from transmission lines. Distribution lines are thinner than transmission lines, and the purpose of distribution lines is to distribute electricity to its consumer. These lines can either be underground or overhead in different areas. It serves as the final stage in the delivery of electricity to our home. After this process, the electricity travels through wires inside the walls to the outlets and switches to our house. After this whole process, we finally get electricity in our home.
As you have already seen how electricity produces and how it comes to our houses, now I am going to tell you that how it flows in our houses. Yes, it flows through household circuit. Household circuit is an electrical system that basically controls the flow of electricity at our houses. In our house, the more things are turned on, the more current is required. The current flows through wires. Can you tell how many wires are there in household circuit?
Yes, a household circuit consists of three wires: live wire, neutral wire, and earth wire. Live wire is the wire which is connected directly to the generators of the power supply company. It carries a high voltage of 220 volts and it's of brown color. Neutral wires are the wires which returns the electricity to the generators after it has passed through the appliance. It usually has 0 volts and it's of blue color. Earth wire usually carries no electricity. It's of green color. But there are many types of household circuiting systems. So my friend Kavya will tell you about them.
So, there are two systems of household circuit, the tree system and the ring system. The ring system is better as we can use lower rating for the connections. So, before starting, one question comes in my mind. Who introduced ring system? So, can you tell me who introduced ring system? Yes, ring system was introduced by Michael Faraday in Britain between 1942 to 1947. So now we are going to talk about ring system. The ring system is an electrical wiring technique in which the sockets in the distribution board are connected in a ring. The ring system consists of a ring circuit that starts from the distribution board and runs all around the loops and comes back to the distribution board again. So you have been wondering, what is distribution board? Distribution board is a panel carrying fuses, terminals and other components of a number of subsidiary electric circuits. It is clear from the connections that the ring system has two separate routes in which the current flows through various appliances, and for each of the appliances the connection is made twice the thickness of the wire. So, is it necessary to have the connections made twice the thickness of the wire? Yes, because the connections electric current inside the wires could be harmful for anyone, so it is necessary. Therefore, wires can be lower rated. And plugs and sockets of the same size could be used with separate users. Can you tell me any one of the type of plugs and sockets that can be used with separate users? No worry, it's industrial and multi-phase sockets can be used with separate users.
So now you must be thinking that this is only electricity. No, there are two types of electricity. One which we have already discussed above, that is electric current. And can you guess what is the second one? It's static electricity.
Well, we have already discussed about current electricity. Now let's talk about static electricity. Static means not in motion. So we can say that it occurs only in the non-conductors or insulators of electricity where it cannot flow, so it is static. Static electricity can be defined as the imbalancement of electrons and protons. Like as if I remove my cap, my hair starts up. It is because when my hair gets in touch with my cap, the electrons are transferred. And the transfer of electrons causes the hair to rise up. Well, what do I mean when I say that when I wear my cap and get in touch with the hairs? Well, those are the methods of charging the uncharged object. First, charging by friction. When we rub a charged object with the uncharged object is charged. Second, charging by conduction. When we put a charged object in touch with the uncharged object is charged. And the third, charging by induction, is when we put the uncharged object near the charged object and the uncharged object is charged.
Now let's explain the most common example of static electricity, which is lighting. In earlier times, people used to think that lighting is created by thunder gods. Like Thor, you must have seen Marvel movies, in which Thor is the god of
Actually, lighting is created by the static electricity. Which is possessed by the clouds. So, to know more about lighting, first we need to understand about the clouds. So, Shauda, can you tell us about the clouds?
Well, yes. Clouds, when you look at the clouds may seem they are made up of gases, but they're actually large mass of tiny water droplets or ice crystals. We already know how the formation of cloud occurs. So during hot weather, when clouds are formed, they reach the stratosphere. And the clouds that reach the stratosphere are called thunderstorm clouds. The thunderstorm clouds carry water droplets at the bottom and ice at the top of them. But as the ice is heavy, it comes down. And as the water droplets are light, they go up. This cycling keeps happening and creates frictions. And we know that the protons are positively charged, said to be high maintenance. They are at the top of the cloud. Like you can see, and the negative charges are the electrons, which are low maintenance, so they are at the bottom of the clouds. Now, how does lightning actually occurs? Well, the thing
Of course, a huge electrical spark in the night sky is known as lightning. Now let me tell you more about lightning. Lightning can be 8 kilometers long, followed by an earth-shattering big boom noise, which might be really unsettling to our ears. And it is so powerful that it would take 80 million car batteries to equal the power of one thunderbolt. A single thunderbolt having capacity to light a 100 watt of bulb for 3 years. Now, the real question is how lightning is actually produced. So for that, we need to go in our day-to-day life. So, have you ever got shocked when you touched a doorknob? Have you ever got shocked when you touch a doorknob or car door handle or metal? Yes, right? Well, if you did, then you might have been part of generating a mini boat. Okay, do you know which type of electricity we are using here? Is this current electricity or static electricity? Static electricity, right. So we all know that charges are generated when two things are rubbed together. So when I scuff my feet on a woolen carpet, I pick some negative charge. And when I touch a doorknob which is having positive charges and some few electrons. So now in this case, electrons have an opportunity to travel from one place to another. So why do they miss this golden opportunity, right? So what they do, they jump from me to the doorknob and zap. I must be feeling a shocking sensation. And you know what's more shocking? That the same phenomenon takes place in the lightning. So let's know how it happens. Let's see how light happens between clouds to cloud and clouds to cloud. So as Shauda told us that clouds carry negative charge at the downside and positive charge at the upside. So our first cloud is having negative charge at the downside and positive charge at the upside, as well as our second cloud. So you can see our first cloud is having negative charge at the downside and second cloud is having positive charge at the upside. So they both are opposite charges. So what's gonna happen? They're both gonna attract and the electrons gonna move from one place to another. And this gonna result as lightning. I think we all are clear here. Now let's see how lightning happens between clouds to ground. Okay, you know that Earth carries neutral charges. Like they both have negative charges and positive charges. So what's gonna happen? Our cloud which is having negative charge at the downside and Earth's negative charge are both gonna repel as they both have similar charges, right? And Earth's negative charge and Earth's positive charge both gonna attract each other as they both are opposite charges, right? And the electrons gonna move from one place to another. This gonna cause lightning. Now, okay, have you ever heard a sound during lightning? Yes, we all did, right? Which is known as thunder. Okay, do you know how thunder is caused? Any ideas? Okay. you don't know, then I'm here to tell you. So, we all know that electricity produces heat energy. And you can see that air is a medium between clouds and ground. So, when electricity is produced and then heat energy is produced, the heat energy heats the air. And you know, the air can be even 5 times hotter than the sun. Right. And this expansion of air in a short time results as thunder. Okay, I think we all are clear here. Okay. Do you know why we see lightning first and then we hear thunder? Because light travels faster than sound, right? Now, as I told you earlier, that lightning can be dangerous sometimes. So, I'm calling Kriti and Adya to tell you all about how some negative and positive advantages of light.
I am here to tell you how lightning is dangerous. Yes, lightning is dangerous for you, for me, and for all living things. But for non-living also. You might heard on the news that some people died from the lightning strike. That's why we have the precautions that we have to take during lightning, such as we have to not stand under a tree, nearby tall buildings, and many more. Because lightning not falls in between two clouds. It's caught in between cloud and the earth. And lightning is a disaster effect of burning trees and destroying buildings. Now I am calling Adya to tell many more.
As Kriti said that many people die by lightning strikes, so I am here to tell you that we have some precautions that we should follow. Do not use material objects during lightning. If there is raining outside, do not prefer to touch the rain or any other water resources. Do not use umbrella to go outside. If you are in automobile, just sit in the same with doors and windows shut. If you are unable to find any safe place, just sit on the ground with your hands on your knees, but do not lie on the ground. Unplug all electronic items such as TV, washing machine, etc. and many more.
So, what is lightning conductor? A lightning conductor is a device used to conduct the lightning. When the lightning strikes, the lightning conductor passes a easy path and harmless path to the ground. Here, the tree falls and burns. It is an example when the lightning falls, the tree burns and the lightning conductor strikes. Though now we have to learn about useful benefits of lightning.
We have learned about lightning conductors, precautions and disease. Now we are going to tell you some useful benefits of lightning.
Yes, lightning is beneficial for living organisms.
Lightning helps in fixation of atomic nitrogen into nitrogen compound that is very important for growth in plants.
Yes, and it helps in formation of ozone from atmospheric oxygen. The ozone layer protects the human being from absorb the radiation coming from the sun.
So take care during lightning.
Now next time when you see the lightning, you will know the science behind it. Thank you.
Dear students, I hope you learned something new by this physics presentation that is named Urja. Do you know why the name is given Urja? What is the meaning of Urja? Urja is the Hindi meaning of energy. And what is energy? Energy is the ability to move, you all know. So the name of this presentation is given Urja because you are having that much amount of energy. By using that, you can find many more new things. You can discover new things. But how? By learning the question answer? No. by exploring the world around you with the knowledge that you are achieving in the classroom. So as today many of you have done very well in this presentation, prepared very well, I expect from all of you that you will explore it, you will find something new, you will be doing something new. And one day, I believe, I will see a new scientist from all of you. All the best, students. Good luck.
And last but not the least, I, Spurti Pathak from class 8A, would like to express my special thanks to our father principal and sister headmistress for providing us all the facility and permissions that were required. I would also like to extend my vote of thanks to our physics teacher, Mr. Dipanshu sir, for his valuable guidance and constant support with all necessary materials. And I would heartily thank all the parents who helped their children to be prepared for this beautiful presentation, Urja by Junior Norwegians. Thank you